Hello. No, that's Transylvanian. Welcome, but no, that's why do I keep sounding like a vampire? Welcome back to GC. No. Welcome back to JCU Productions. Welcome back to JC Productions. Today we're going to be going over the film GoodFellas, which was our pick from the last time we did an episode, because that was 2 weeks ago, because I was ill. So we're back after it's been 2 weeks. But yeah, today we're discussing the 1990 film GoodFellas, which was directed by Martin Scorsese, and it is based on the 1985 non-fiction book Wise Guy. And so it's based on the true story of Henry Hill, who was adopted by neighborhood gangsters at a young age and works his way up the mafia. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's go into the cast. We have Henry Hill, who was played by Ray Liotta, who was Dentwood in Cocaine Bear, which I thought was his last film. Well, it's the one that was released. But apparently he was in Dangerous Waters, which was his last project. I don't know if that's been released, or if they've done anything with his footage. He's also himself in the B Movie, the classic film, and he was also Paul Krenler in Hannibal, which is a very old and memorable film. Yeah, it's older than me, so it's old. We also have James Conway, played by Robert De Niro, who was Vito Corleone in The Godfather, Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, and Frank Sheeran in The Irishman. We have Tommy DeVito, played by Joe Pesci, who was Russell Bufalino in The Irishman, Harry Lime in Home Alone, and Leo Getz in Lethal Weapon. We then have Karen Hill, who was played by Lorraine Bracco, who was Jennifer Malfi in The Sopranos, Angela Rizzoli in Rizzoli and Isles, and Dr. Ray Crane in Medicine Man. You then have Paulie Cicero, who was played by Paul Sorvino, who was Capulet in Romeo and Juliet, the Leonardo DiCaprio one, the Guy Cipriani in Money Talks, and Captain Edelson in Cruising. And then finally on our cast list, there is more in the cast because it's not just 6 people. We have Frankie Carbone, who is played by Frank Severo, who is Genco Abandando in The Godfather 2, Andy in The Wedding Singer, and Murray Dunlap in Possessed by the Night. Okay, so now we're going to go through my notes when I was watching the film. Let's hope I can remember what I was even talking about. It says it's based on a true story. I like how I said last time we did an episode that I hope there wasn't much blood, because as I said, I haven't seen GoodFellas before. And so when I picked the name out in the Bugs Life episode, I was like, oh yeah, I hope there isn't too much blood, because that's what happened in Kill Bill. But the opening scene is blood, so I was instantly proved wrong in that one. I always knew I wanted to be a gangster, the life that they have, where it's just oh yeah, you mess with me and my family, we're gonna beat your ass up. That's what gangsters sound like, apparently. There was the abusive dad of the character who was annoyed that the kid didn't go to school, and it's the way so why does, I mean, there's no excuse for him to do that. So it's just oh, you're not going to school, punt, I'll beat you up. It's what is that even teaching him? It's oh no, be scared. No. The way that the dude attacked the postman so he won't give the family letters from the school, because the dad finds out the kid's not going to school because of the letter he got from the school. So then the gangsters in the area go and threaten the postman, saying, you see any of those letters come to this house, you don't deliver them, all right? Because he's been working with the gang in his street, and then so he's been working for them, and that's why he's not at school. When someone had his hand injured, and that's when Henry was there trying to help him, and it was on the street, and then so he takes him back to Paulie, and then they were bandaging up the hand, and then Paulie's just we wasted 8 aprons on this guy after he got shot. The lorry drivers were so willing to give over the goods in that because they had a deal where it's just like they were taking things off the lorry, and so it's just like they were more than willing to help out. At least they gave the food away, yeah, because after the lorry scene, there's parts where it's just like they're handing it out to people who are homeless, I believe. The rules of it: never out your friends and always keep your mouth shut, which is a good moral to go by. I did write down a couple of names because just the mobster names, you know. Francie the Walk, Freddie No Nose, Fat Andy, Nicky Eyes, Jimmy Two Times, says everything twice. And I also, in this film, I thought Joe Pesci was amazing throughout with the acting. And never say he's funny, apparently. How am I funny? Yeah, it's like when he's telling the stories and then you've got Henry laughing at him. And he's just like, how am I funny? Yeah. And then he was just, in that scene, he was also there throwing glasses at people. He's just like, oh, what, you want one? Pang. It's just like throwing glasses left and right at people. When he stands up and she goes, yeah, Henry is there dating Karen at the time because Joe's character, he's seeing someone, and in that part it's it's like a double date. So the person he's dating says she's not going to date Tommy unless like he brings a friend for her friend, and so he brings Henry, and then that's how he meets Karen, and then from there, he's not, I don't think he's too into her at that point. And then it's like, so he stands her up on a date when he said they're meant to be going. And then from there, she goes, I can't believe he stood me up. And so she goes driving downtown just to like shout and have a go at him for standing her up. And that's kind of where he gets like respect for her and starts like falling in love with her. There was a wig commercial in it where it's just like all the things. It's just like, oh look, it stays on your head like with swimming. I just thought the wig commercial was a great add to it because it's just a funny inclusion to add. Just look at the wig commercial if you haven't. The mother-in-law where she's just there saying, "Where were you?" when Henry gets back late. It's just like, oh, see, he don't call when he's like out. It's like when she's on about like her husband and then like all other people's husbands. She's like, they have the decency to call when they're not coming back and they're coming home late. And it's like, hey, where is he? He hasn't rang or anything. He could be dead. And then when he does turn up, she's like, where were you? Having a go at him. And then he just walks back out the door and drives off. Which, another great scene. There was a scene after where they're digging up the body that they buried at night because that's the opening scene is the body, and then before this it was they were burying the body because it was another mob person, I believe, and I think it was someone Tommy used to work with, and they got into an altercation, and Tommy ended up going because it was at a bar, and then so they met there, had the fight. Tommy left, came back with his gun and shot him and killed him, and then they had to get rid of the body after that. And so him, James, and Henry, I believe it was those three. Henry, yeah, Henry, James, and Tommy then go and bury the body, and then when that's happened, they go, okay, we'll leave it. And then a few months or weeks later, they find out something's going to be built on the land they bury the body, and so they don't want it found because else that would cause conflicts between the mob people. And so they have to go and unbury. They have to go and uproot the body to move it somewhere else so it's not found. And so when they do that, I've seen where they're doing that is at night time, and I thought it's a great visual scene because you've got the light coming off the brake lights of the car, which is illuminating them so you can see what they're doing. And so it's like pretty much just silhouettes in a red light and smoke from their car engine as they're like trying to like dig up the body. So I just thought that was a good scene. I did feel sorry for the server who got shot in the foot by Tommy, because he was there serving them, and then he was just there saying like, "Oh yeah, bring me my drink," and then he's there saying like, "Dance, go on," and he's like holding his gun, like pointing at the server, and then he's not dancing because it is degrading, and so he gets shot in the foot, which yeah, not a fun thing to happen to you. And so all of Tommy's friends would just say like, what's wrong with you? What's the matter? And then after this, the server, after he's like better, he's like, when we next see him, he has got like his foot bandaged up, and then as that's happening, the people there saying to like giving him a tip and everything, saying, "Oh yeah, like here because of your foot," and then he was talking with Tommy, and he was like joking with him, and then I think Tommy says something, and then the service there just say like, "Oh yeah, go fuck yourself," and then with that, Tommy just said like going, "Ah, he's got a mouth in there," and then his friends are kind of like trying to rile him up. They're just saying, "Oh, you're gonna let him say that to you? You're gonna let him get away with it?" I mean, and then Tommy does get angry, and then just ends up like shooting the server again and again and again. And then they're just there saying, What? You can't take a joke. What's the matter with you? You're just trying to have fun." And yeah, but now he's killed the server, which yeah, I do feel sorry for that server, because in a situation like that, it's not like, what are you meant to do? Because you don't want to upset them, but also it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, so Joe Pesci's character is very trigger happy throughout the whole film. Samuel L. Jackson was in this film as well, by the way. Can't remember what the name of the character he played, but he was in it. After, like, okay, so they believe later on, this is quite near the end of the story. Joe Pesci's character Tommy, I think they believe he's getting honoured as like as part of the thing. But I think this is where they find out that he was responsible for the other person's death, the body they buried, and so they killed him. They shot him, and then I think they rang James, De Niro's character, and they were telling him like why they killed him. And so there's the whole thing of like he was in the phone box and he was just there like smashing it against the receiver because he was emotional that his like one of his friends has just been killed. And there was okay, so throughout the whole thing there's a lot of like drug use in the film, and drug distribution, and so Henry's character, he's just like throughout the whole thing, it's like before it was like when it started out, he was like quite good with Karen, I'd say. And then it got to the point where it's just like he's doing more drugs, staying out late doing the crime stuff. And then this is where their marriage starts to like kind of like fall apart. And so from there, he's just like cheating on her as well. And then with the drug stuff, he just not a great situation to be in. And so they got to a point where, because he was arrested as well at some point, and then with the drugs, and so because there was a whole scene of like slowly cutting an onion. They had like a razor blade, and they were just like slicing up an onion really thinly, and yeah, that was a good scene because it's just like food. Just oh yeah, that's all I'm interested in. But there was a part later on where he's got like a helicopter like following him around, and this is where they're planning to transport more drugs. And so one of the people he's doing it with, because they've been using this woman to sneak it, like to use her to sneak it past, because I think she was like times doing it with like a push chair and like in her clothing and stuff. And before like on, because this is like before he gets arrested, again, well they catch him again. The woman, he's like, oh yeah, get here, because he tells her, he phones her and says, make sure when you do the phone call, you do it from you don't do it in the house, you do it from a phone, like a pay phone, let's say. And so she goes, oh yeah, like I know. And he's like, don't yeah me. And it's like, but she ends up using the one in the house, which stupid idea. And then after that, she's there saying, oh yeah, we can't move, I need to go get my lucky hat. He's like, you're like why lucky hat? It's like, yeah. So they get caught outside the house because police are all there, because she used the phone from that house, and then also because they had to leave to go and fetch her lucky hat. So I think the whole downfall of the film was that they had to get this lucky hat. So that woman and her lucky hat is just the downfall of everyone in this story. Definitely. And then after that, it does get to a point where it's James and Paulie. I think it's Henry. What's it called? Stands against them. He's like as a witness, but he testify. That's the word. He testifies against them to get them arrested, and when then he's put in witness protection, and yeah. Oh, I think there was a point in this film where it was there saying, because it's based on a true story, it was there saying about the real people's lives at the end, and then it said one of the people was, I think they said, oh, expected to be released in 2004, I believe. And with me, I was just there like, oh, that's the year I was born. And it's just because everything revolves around me. And so with that scene, I was just like, oh, so because this is 1990, so that was 14 years before he was due to be released. And so, of course, to me now, I'm just there saying like, oh, that's ages ago. But that was like in the future, back when this one was being done. And now that is my very past. So it's nice to see like the different things of like, where are they now? And that sort of stuff. But yeah. Okay, so next I'm going to go through my favourite characters, which are probably Paulie and James. Well, some because of the acting skills, but also they in like the film they just seem like they're the higher ups. They just like come across as respectable in it. I mean, even though their actions are shifty and illegal, they just them on the screen, like they just seem so calm and collected throughout. And then also just the amount of power that they have as characters, and how it's portrayed in the acting as well. It was just fun to see. And for my worst character, I have put Tommy, and that is not due to acting, because the acting is so good from Joe Pesci that's why I get annoyed with the character, because he does come across as like a very trigger happy mobster, and just like it makes him unlikable, because you're just like, oh, that is someone who just like has like a temper and hot headed and stuff, and so you're just there like, oh, he's like, because as I said, when he shoots the waiter, it's like in that scene, it's like, you really did you have to do that? And it's just like, so it's like kind of because he is a very intense person, and that, as I said, nothing to do with the acting. The fact that like it's probably a congratulations on the acting, like it's a positive for the acting, because Joe Pesci is very believable in that role of like he is very. I'm just going to say trigger happy again. I was trying to think of more words, but there's no point. So yeah, just very trigger happy and eccentric in the role, and it's just like that's why it comes across as believable. He does come across as a mad person in this. So again, that's just a great acting. The whole acting in for a whole film has been great from everyone. But I had to pick a worst character, and that's just what I put because of the personality of the character. Okay. Next is my favourite scene, and I'm going to put the part of my favourite scene is the part where, as I said earlier, when Henry stands at Karen and she goes and calls him out on it in front of all his friends on the street, and then he's just there saying, "Oh, what, you come over here shouting at me?" And just like, because that was just a very sweet moment where she's like, because she goes over quite angry at him, and then that's when he does start to take interest in her, and she realizes it, and then that's when she's just there like going like, "Oh yes, let's see if like you can take me out next week," and just like that sort of stuff. Yeah, the worst scene of what I put down is the part, as I've been ranting about earlier on. The part was just like, oh, I have to go get my lucky hat. It's like she She is the reason why everything went wrong. It's just like, oh, let me go get my lucky hat. No, screw you and your lucky hat. Just do the job. What are you on about? Okay. Yes, those are my favourite characters, worst character, favourite moment, and least favourite moment. Let's get on to the letterboxd reviews. Okay, so we are here with the letterboxd reviews for GoodFellas, and we are starting on the lowest of the lowest ratings. And so these are people who really hated the film, and so a lot of these are just half a stars. Bullshit, shit. What do you expect from me? I hope all the characters die, and please can they shut the fuck up for just 1 minute? Very hated the film, apparently they did. Kinda mid, it's no Transformers. Mid as a film, I haven't seen it, and I know it's trash. Get one, you stupid muppet. Garbage movie, TBH, too long. What's up with the scene with the painting of the dogs? That scene could have been taken out and nothing would be different. Shake my head, bad movie. AU, Panera bread. Is that like Robert Panero? Hey, look, it just sounds Italian. Lamborghini, fettuccine, Panera. Is that what you're going for here? Hey, look, I'm talking to you. Let me try one of them bagels. Like, what is this fucking place? Is this one of them bagel places everyone keeps ranting and raving about? Yeah, let me try one of them bagels. Yeah, I'll try them bagels. Yeah, come on. Yeah, let me try one of them bagels. Whoa, hey, asshole. What is this? Is this round bread? What the fuck are these things? What is that? Like a round piece of bread? Hey, asshole, what you doing? You're pulling a hole in my bread? What is this? Why don't they make them square? I don't get it. Yeah, that probably wasn't a good accent, but that is the accent of what the people were conveying in that review as they were trying to do it, where it's like, it literally says EYYU for AU. That sort of stuff. So I had to go along with the accent, you know? No. I don't think they were that good. Someone's put the quote, "Stop busting my balls," as it was in the film. My sister had a terrible boyfriend who said this was his favourite movie, so then my family had to sit through 3.5 hours of Ray Liotta doing coke. So long and just not entertaining. If I could rate it any lower, I would. Horrible Journey, one of the worst movies ever made. It said the review contained spoilers, so I had to wait to see what the spoiler was, and all the review was dumb macho gangster movie. Really? That's a spoiler? Not that good, TBH. Why men should never talk. The movie should be taught in med schools as a reason for migraines. Wow, another movie with loud, cheating, abusive men who think they can do no wrong is rated super highly. Am I meant to sympathise with these characters? With Henry? What the fuck? Karen Hill stand for life, though. Henry deserved to go to prison, but not this luxury shit. Tommy was so annoying, I'm glad he got whacked. Why is he blaming Karen for his stupidity? Be grateful that he even gave you money. Why are you complaining that you got $32,000 handout? If you want to watch a good mob gangster movie, watch The Godfather instead. I watched for an hour and just couldn't do it anymore. It started out good, but the things Henry put Karen through were so hard to watch. The cheating, the abuse, the lying, the gaslighting, I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch a movie where Henry is framed as a good guy, or at least not the worst, when he's out making Karen's life a living hell and telling her she's crazy. Tommy kept annoying the hell out of me. De Niro was kind of just there, at least until the point that I watched to. I just personally couldn't watch it, and that's okay. All I wanted to do was beat up the men who beat up the men. I kept watching and thinking, why am I watching this? Oh my god, I hate men. I just got catcalled this morning. I'm a throttle SM. And then I started slipping into a New York accent and hating women against my will. No balls broken now. Why the fuck do Italians get an entire genre of media that glorifies them? People will say shit like, "Oh, I know they're all bad people at this point." Well, how many fucking movies about Italians killing people and being macho assholes do you need to understand the very basic point of Italians are bad people? We've known this shit since The Godfather. We don't need 40 other movies of Italians killing poor people to know that they are assholes. I think that people are just watching these movies because it's entertaining to watch bad people. Well, I don't think that's true. It honestly disgusts me. It should disgust you too. And if it doesn't disgust you, then I'm disgusted. That's just a very generalization of just like, oh yeah, we've seen The Godfather. Italians are bad people. What? It's not like just because there's a group of people who do bad stuff doesn't mean the entire group of people of a whole are bad. I mean, that just goes with anything. I mean, it's just like if I was in a school and one person in that school went and blew up the school, doesn't mean I'm a bad person for blowing up the school because I was involved in that school. Does it? No. So, yeah, you can't just generalize Italians based on The Godfather. That's just a stupid moral to go by. I haven't watched this movie, but I think it's about bad fellas. Such a classic. He just a man. Such a classic. He's just a family man supplying for his kids and wife. Such a gentleman. GoodFellas loved this fucking movie, but he rated it half a star. Okay. We are now going to go into the highest ratings of Letterboxd. Okay, here we go. Killer of the Flower Moon at Home. Why Are You Laughing? Best gangster movie. Perfect in every way possible. If you can keep your eyes off this movie, then you must not be real, because how could you possibly not take your eyes off this masterpiece? Almost 2 years since my last log, and the break was good for the relationship. My first gangster movie was cleaning out a storage building in high school when I came across a VHS copy. My parents didn't watch gangster movies, so it was the first time I had ever seen anything like this, and it blew my socks off. Scorsese at the top of his game, iconic performances. First time I'd seen Joe Pesci in something besides Home Alone or My Cousin Vinny, and it was one of the most shocking things ever. Music and editing perfect, and probably one of the best gangster movies ever made. A must-see for any wannabe filmmaker or cinephile. As long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Italian gangster perfection. Scorsese perfection. Okay, but were they even trying to be good? Loved every minute. Fucking magnificent. This movie is fantastic. Martin Scorsese never fails to impress. This mafia-centered movies is grounded with food character development and great storyline. I think that was meant to say good character development, but it says food. But food is a great part of it. Every character was cast perfectly, with every actor delivering amazing performances during all scenes. Whenever I think of a notable scene of this film, instead of all the lavish mob crime world and their lavish lifestyle, instead it seems like halfway through the film, Karen Henry, the main character, wife, intended to kill him. She knows that he is dating another girl, but she couldn't do it. In her own words, it turned me on. Henry then beat her out of the bed and then pointed the gun at her chin and threatened to kill her. He then walks out of the scene and the camera focuses on Karen down on the floor, all weak and helpless. The camera lingers for a second before moving to the next scene. Can't even smoke indoors nowadays because of woke. Bring it back. 2 hours and I never got bored once. It was always entertaining. The soundtrack was epic. Tommy DeVito has to be one of the craziest psychos in cinema. He can't keep his gun in his pocket for at least 30 seconds. Jimmy and Henry, just give me a chance, please. When the funny one asks the director's mother if he can borrow her cleaver so he can finish off Billy Bats, the whatchamacallit, the hoof. The Sopranos in an alternate universe. if Ferris Bueller got involved in the mafia. A really well-made movie, and even though it's longer, it hooks you from the beginning. I love the characters in this movie, even though they weren't the best people. It was funny and kept me laughing. And that's the thing of it. It's like they aren't always good people throughout the film because they're not meant to be good people. And so even though it is like a film about people who aren't necessarily good people in their life, it's still an entertaining film to watch. As I said, like it's not one that I would normally watch myself, but I did enjoy watching it because there's like a lot of times where I watch films like a lot of times. There's sometimes I watch films where I'm just there like going, oh, okay, can this end now? And it's like this was one where it wasn't that case. I was actually quite engaged and wanting to see what happens next with all the characters, and it's like, what's gonna happen? This guy's crazy. What's his deal and stuff like that. So it was good film. Okay, so now I'm going to show you where it comes on the list because as I go through, every fortnight it is a scratch-off movie poster where I go through 100 must-see cult movies. And GoodFellas, we have there. There. Where it is showing the razor blade and the onions scene, which I said about. But drop it. There is the poster we have. We've done a few films on there. Ones that I did scratch off before, but we're still going to go through anyway at some point in this podcast series. The ones we've gone through on the podcast are The Goonies and Kill Bill so far off it, and now The Goodfellas as well. So we've got 3 from this poster, which we've gone through. So maybe you might want to go get that poster yourself to do alongside the podcast. I don't know. It's up to you. But now let's go for the leaderboard. Here it is. Ooh, need to lean it back a bit. Leaderboard. There we go. Currently in first place, we have Toy Story, followed by Hoodwinked, then A Bug's Life, then The Goonies, and then Kill Bill. And so, where does GoodFellas come on the list? I'm going to put it below The Goonies. Because even though I did enjoy this film, I don't watch films a lot about gangsters or crime. Because I don't like, because I like watching funny stuff. And to be honest, I like comedy stuff and also things that aren't serious. I mean, I do listen to serious stuff. But for cinema stuff, I also think about, like with this list, what would I rewatch again? And with that, I can see myself rewatching it, but not as much as I could see myself rewatching The Goonies or A Bug's Life or Toy Story, which is why that's at the top. But yeah, so I would watch it over Kill Bill. That is my opinion, so don't come for me. But yep, so Goodfellas is currently 5th on the list for the podcast episodes. We could see how that changes in the future. We might have a terrible film that goes all the way down the bottom that Goodfellas is just going to be quite above, which I can see happening if we do an even terrible film. I don't know, Cats the musical or whatever. Who knows? Okay, so now we're going to do the wheel spinner, which is something that I've put together, which goes through different film trilogies and everything. Film genres, film series. Okay, I'm going to go through ones that we have on there. We've got Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, my choice of film, Harry Potter, The Muppets, Jurassic Park, James Bond, DreamWorks, and Disney. And so we're now going to spin this wheel because we alternate between the wheel and the movie poster. So next week is going to be a wheel spinner pick. And we're now going to see which one that is. It's a Harry Potter film! Oh, well, you can tell I probably do like Harry Potter because I have these behind me. Hedwig. Oh my god, a Niffler. And Pygmy Puff. Yeah, that's it, a Pygmy Puff. So next week we're going to be watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And yeah, I probably will have a Harry Potter costume for that because I have Harry Potter costumes. So next week, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Movie Mondays by Jaycu Productions. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was a good film, The GoodFellas. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And I probably wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't done this podcast. But again, it's a great film. Next week, Harry Potter, which I'm very excited for if you haven't been able to tell so far. And I hope you are excited for it as well. So next week, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Get and watch it before next Monday. Hope you'll have a great week and enjoy anything that you're doing this week. That you don't have a stressful time and that everything goes well. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you so wish to do so. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.